and welcome to another Training Thursday. I am here today to talk about overwhelm. Dun, dun, dun. We had an amazing question in the Naturpreneur Hub, and I wanted to chime in because it is something that I see all the time with the Praccies that I mentor that come through the Naturpreneur journey, and I have experienced it time and time again as a practitioner myself. Hey Maura, nice to see you, and anybody else who is joining us either on the replay or live. So, overwhelm. It's really easy to get into as a practitioner because just like we had this question from Dobrosia. Sorry if I've got your name wrong. It's a beautiful name, and I just can't quite get the knack of it. So ask any day, and we have ask any day here in the Naturpreneur Hub as a hashtag so that you can get your questions answered whenever you so choose to ask one. I need to share my overwhelm in my business. How do you do it all? From being a successful multimodality practitioner, a skilled blog post writer, an IT savvy business builder on your website, updating plugins, creating SEO, managing company finances, taxes, recipes, claims, receipts, dealing with the ATO, people's complaints, clinic management and mastering, and so much more. Totally agree. Wearing 10 hats on one head gives us a headache sometimes, right? And I couldn't agree more. It's like, so I wanted to have the conversation here. So if you have a tip, like Maura's just popped in, planning saved the day for her. If you have a tip, pop it in here because I'd love to hear your tips. I've got 7 of them for you that I teach in the Naturpreneur journey that we cover on our experiences when we go overseas or here at NatX. And I wanted to share them with you because they are game changers as long as you do them with regularity to make sure that you, because overwhelm can just creep up on you. It's like this, and all of a sudden. And even if we try and bring it down a little bit, it'll keep kind of keeping up. So it's really something that you've got to get right back down so that you've got a bit of space for it not to get into that overwhelm all the time. Hey Charlene, hey Miranda, hey anyone else who's listening. All right, so thank you so much for that question. And what I wanted to cover is my 7. So, number 1. And Samantha Gilmore is amazing at this, is stay in your zone of genius and know what your zone of genius is. Number 1, know your zone of genius. Zone of genius is a term that comes from The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Amazing game changer book that no entrepreneur should live without. It's a really cool book to understand how our mindset works within the context of creating a business and a life that we really are excited about. So, staying in your zone of genius means staying in the bit that you are good at that nobody else can do just like you. Then you might have a zone of excellence where everybody else thinks you're really great at that thing and other people can do it, but you're like, it's not my thing. Then there's your zone of good, which is, I'm good enough to get it done, and your zone of great. And good and great are kind of out here. Now, you can be good at what was some of the things that we had done here? You could be good at writing blog posts, right? And you could be good at creating a blog post, and you could be good at eventually putting it up on your website. But if you have a zone of genius, you are a genius at what you do. Now, I used to have a zone of good for blog post writing. I like writing, but I'm a bit of a perfectionist and I kind of go over it and over it and over it. I'm great at speaking. So I'm on here every week sharing my tips and tricks with you guys. And so I'm great at that bit. My zone of excellence comes in when I'm teaching something. So I can speak, but if I'm teaching something, Perla. My zone of genius is if I have you in a different environment, not online, not in your normal home zone. If I bring you overseas or if I take you up to NatX and I take you out of your environment and then I teach you and then I share with you all of this lovely juiciness in a completely different environment and totally immerse you in it, that's my zone of genius. Now, as a practitioner, my zone of genius was to be able to explain really complex things into really well to understand kind of ways. So my background is in medical science. So whenever I had something that I could show people a picture of, so my tool of choice was a microscope. If I could show them a picture and then explain it in ways that they could understand, that was my zone of genius. My zone of excellence was as a naturopath. I could, get the right remedies for the right people at the right time. But other people can do that. But the way that I used to describe things around cells, cell structure, systems, processes, biochemical pathways even, was something very unique to me. That was my zone of genius. Then you've got a zone of excellence. Other people can do it, and you can do it as well. But it's not that, ooh, goody, goodness stuff. Moira says that she also writes lists and other things, and we'll get to that in a second. But Moira has actually got a zone of genius. Now, she's an extraordinary lecturer. She's also an amazing practitioner, particularly for women. So lecturer, practitioner, particularly for women. And then she's actually got an absolute zone of genius when it comes to vaginal microbiome and anything vaginal related. And that's why she's got the intimate ecology group and trainings to go with that, because that's her zone of genius. Nobody else that I know does it like she does. So this is the thing. What in your business and your practice is your zone of genius. And knowing that is like a game changer for being out of overwhelm, because then you don't have to, your main priority is to do that thing. Outside of that priority, then there's other things that you're good or great at that you can actually pay somebody to do. Now, everyone freaks out, especially if they're at the beginning of their practice. Oh my goodness, I have to pay somebody. Yes. So number 2 is know that you're not an island. Know that there can be a team around you. You don't have to do this by yourself. And know that if you are in a team, your zone of genius is going to make you the most amount of money, the most amount of impact, and the most amount of shift for the person that you're helping. Now, the other thing is other people have a zone of genius in the other stuff. The zone of genius bit also comes along with this quality that you could do it with your eyes closed, and time kind of slips away when you're in it. And so when I am explaining things, time slips away for me. When you're doing your amazing healing talent or whatever it happens to be that's your zone of genius, time will slip away and it will happen so quickly and you just don't even notice. Now, blog posts on the other hand, I would take all Sunday to do a blog post. And I would turn and it would be angsty and it would be all of the things. We've got an amazing Praccie over in the Naturopreneur Hub, Sam Gimmel. And she is not only a practitioner, but she is an excellent blog post writer. She's extraordinary at it. She's an incredible content producer. And it's one of her zones of genius. She just loves it. And it just all plops in. And it works really well for her. So what it would take me an entire day of doing that I could have been using my talents, my gifts and my talents in another more profitable way, running a workshop, teaching somebody something. I could have been doing that all day and actually making money. Instead, I'd be drawing all of this out. She could probably do in a good 15 to 20 minutes. And if I paid her a portion of what I could earn on that day living in my zone of genius, then you can see how you can actually earn money from spending money in your business. Now, first time this happened for me, I brought on a receptionist. And having a receptionist there, now we were open on a Monday to Friday, and I had the receptionist there Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays during school hours, because that's who I could get at the time. And at the time, I looked up all of the agreements and made sure that I was doing my due diligence, and I could pay that receptionist at the time $18 an hour. Now, the thing about that is during those hours, I could be seeing clients while she was making money. So she was calling other clients and booking them in. I couldn't do that at the same time as seeing clients. So she would actually make me $120 for the $18 that I was spending on her. Then she would sell products. So I couldn't, while I'm in there with a client, I can't sell my herbal dispensary, but she could sell products. She could look after people coming in for their replacement products and things like that. So she was actually making money doing that. So for the $18, she was bringing in another $50. And then what was happening is at that particular clinic was walk-ins. So we could actually book people in. Before I had to lock the door, nobody could come in. So I was spending $18, but what I was getting back was hundreds of dollars. Now, it doesn't happen straight away, but it definitely happens. And this is the thing, where can you leverage not your zone of genius? My zone of genius is definitely not in reception. Oh my goodness. I'm not great with the details and all of that kind of stuff. I'm not great with all of the follow-up and things like that. So I've always had somebody there to help with their zone of genius. So their zone of genius is caring and looking after people in that moment, looking for, following up, doing all those types of things. And that person will actually make me money while I don't have to be there. Yes, there's a small expenditure to start with, but the reward in doing so is huge. So that's number 3. Paying a little can earn you so much more. So paying a little for somebody can earn you so much more. Now, the second person I took on board in my clinic was a bookkeeper. And many people I know, many practitioners who have been in business for a long time, unless you've got a background in finance, and interestingly, what we've found with our data is about a quarter of our practitioners actually have a background in finance, accounting, or bookkeeping themselves for other people's businesses. But when they turn it around on themselves, it's a whole different story. But if you're not in that kind of zone, then handing over bookkeeping is one of the best things you could do for your business, because the amount of time, effort, energy, and money, because your time is actually worth something. If you're charging yourself out $100 an hour, at least to begin with, is my suggestion, and you're spending 5 hours a month, that's $500, and a bookkeeper is a lot cheaper than that. So if you're able to, again, spend a little, you'll make a lot more when it comes to effort, energy, money, and time that you get back that you're not spending on those other things. So to avoid overwhelm, bring in people who you can just afford. Now, at the time, I couldn't afford to have a receptionist on all week, but I did whatever I could afford to do so that at that period of time, I could make more money coming in. All right. And I didn't have to do it myself. I could hand over some of those things that feel so overwhelming on your never-ending to-do list. Number 4, block out time. Just like Mauro says, blocking out time is hugely important. We have a whole module on this in the Naturpreneur Journey, where you are recording your time in 15-minute increments. And it's amazing what we spend our time doing. And it's literally spending it. You're not going to get it back. But when you invest time, if you block out chunks of time, say on your Monday, you've got a chunk of time from the morning to lunchtime, and then you've got a chunk of time in the afternoon. Or you could chunk it down into hour slots. Whatever you're doing, you're prioritizing the things that are valuable to you. Where your zone of genius lies is obviously the most value that you can create, because other people can pay you for that amazing zone of genius that you have. So very likely it's how much time you can spend as a healer doing the thing that you're amazing at. It could be as a teacher or an educator and doing the thing you're amazing at there. But then the second most important thing is keeping you healthy and well. I would say that's the first one. But because we're talking about right at the beginning of your business, you want to be getting money in to be able to help keep you healthy and well. So the priority outside of what you want to create, the priority is you being healthy and well. And so many practitioners, after mentoring so many practitioners and also going through burnout myself multiple times, enough to write a book about it, you have to actually make at least an hour a week your priority to begin with. Now, many of you who have prioritized yourself well and truly have recognized that you need more than an hour, but so many of you who are just at the beginning don't realize that you're not even giving yourself 1 hour a week. And when you do give yourself that 1 hour a week to look after yourself, And whatever that form that takes. Some of you guys are artists and you've put that to the back burner. Some of you guys love yoga and you've put that to the back burner and can't even do one class a week. Some of you love getting outdoors and going for a walk. Maybe it's connecting with nature. Maybe it's doing some other form of creative outlet that you've let slide because you've made all of the work and all of the things a priority. So bringing that back in and slotting that in and having it like an appointment will help you avoid overwhelm in the end. So that is number 5, which is take your own medicine first. Physician, heal thyself. So many people are in overwhelm and adrenal fatigue and anxiety about their businesses and about being in practice, yet you're not taking your herbs, you're not taking your homeopathics, you're not sitting down and even eating your lunch. And I know because I've been there. I'm not pointing the finger. I've totally been there. And for you to show up for the best decisions for you to make in your business, for you to show up without overwhelm, for you to show up and choose the right person to do the right job for you, you have to look after yourself first. So while you're chunking down your time in your week and actually making those things a priority, make yourself a priority. Put those little slots in for you to do your exercise, get out in nature, take your supplements, and do the thing that actually helps you thrive rather than strive. Cool. All right. Number 6, overwhelm, extraordinaire, bust through, just do one thing. When you're in so much overwhelm that you're literally procrastinating everything, that you are finding yourself doing all of the laundry and all of the other things and going into a tailspin on social media and everything else, just do the one thing that you need to do today to move your business forward. If that's finishing off the newsletter you need to send, great, do that. If it's finishing off the treatment plan, just do that. Don't have 50 million tabs open on your computer and not complete one thing, just complete one thing. All right, and number 7. One of the biggest things that gets most of the practices that I've worked with in overwhelm is comparisonitis. You get so overwhelmed that you end up going and looking on Instagram or looking on Facebook or looking on someone else's thing and how they're doing it, what their website looks like, and oh my goodness, their life looks amazing. And oh, how did they do all of the things? They're clearly living the most spectacular life available to that superhuman that they are. But in actual fact, by doing that, you're not staying in your own lane. Your own lane is your particular journey when it comes to being an entrepreneur. Your journey. Your journey isn't to look like that other person's. Your journey isn't to do something that they're doing. Your journey is to stay in your lane, create what you want to create, and not get overwhelmed by some random idea that you have in your head that you think, that's my dog in the background, by the way, that you think you need to be at. Some random aberrant place that you think you need to be at in the future based on all of the people that you've been looking around and that Facebook's been feeding you and that Instagram has been popping on your feed. You just stay in your own lane. So overwhelm can be avoided by a long shot if you are just focused on what you need to be doing for yourself and your journey rather than everybody else's. All right. Hopefully this has been beneficial to you or somebody else that you know. I'm just going to check in on what we've got here. Hey, Chisa. Hey, Zoe. Hey, Diana. Just came out of a month of overwhelm. Awesome. Feel like I'm thawing out now. Fantastic. Moira, just got a cleaner this week. I'm so excited. Getting a cleaner. The amount, who procrastinates by cleaning their house? Who procrastinates by cleaning their clinic? Who fluffs around and does all of these things that aren't actually in your zone of genius that somebody else could go and do for you, quick and easy, that you just flitter away your time, your energy, and essentially your money on. Yeah, well done, Moira. I love that. Awesome. So hopefully, like I said, this has been beneficial for you or somebody else. And thank you guys so much for asking the questions in the Naturepreneur Hub. It's an amazing place and space to be able to have these conversations. And you are not alone. I have been there. So many of us have been there. And hopefully these tips and tricks have been helpful. But the way that they are most helpful is for you to take action on one of them. So which one of them will you take action on today? And which one of them will you be able to shift the needle on where you are now to where you would like to be in the future? And hopefully this has been one of those ones where you can pick one of those and move the needle forward. All right, I will be looking forward to catching you in the next Training Thursday. And my biggest hope is for practitioners everywhere not to feel overwhelmed, not to have burnout is our second nature as practitioners, to be able to collaborate and connect and continue these types of conversations. So if you're over in the hub, awesome, I'll see you in there. And if you're not, join us over there on Facebook. All right, I'll catch you later. Bye.